By now, you're able to identify the IP address of your target machine. And using port scanning, you can also tell what ports are open and what services are running behind these ports. The next step in the hacking process is to identify vulnerabilities in these services. And we do this using a technique called vulnerability scanning. In the world of information security and ethical hacking, a vulnerability is equivalent to a weakness. The simplest example of a vulnerability is an easy-to-guess password. So for example, if you set up your email with an easy-to-guess password such as your name, the name of your dog, or the name of your mom, this is considered to be a vulnerability. Anybody who knows your name, the name of your mom, or the name of your dog might be able to guess your password. And that means that you've chosen a weak password, making your email vulnerable. Vulnerability scanning is the process of identifying these weaknesses automatically or using automated tools. So let's say, for example, you have a wireless router at home, and your password protected the access to the wireless router. A vulnerability scanner might be able to identify this weak password by trying multiple passwords in a very short period of time. So instead of you trying these passwords one by one manually, a vulnerability scanner would do this for you automatically and much faster. And this is what vulnerability scanning is about. It's trying to identify weaknesses using automated methods and automated tools. One of the best vulnerability scanning tools out there is called Nessus. It's free for home use. You can download it from the Tenable.com website and use it to scan our virtual environment target machine. To download Nessus, go to the products page and find the Nessus Home tab. Fill in the registration form and you'll be redirected to the download page. Click on download, choose the operating system. In this case, I'm going to download it on my Windows machine. Click on agree. And when the download finishes, click on the setup file and follow the instructions. When the setup finishes, your browser is going to open and redirect you to the Nessus setup page. Take note of that page. It's at https://localhost:8834. This is how you're going to be accessing Nessus page from now on. To skip the exception on Chrome, click on Advanced and proceed to Location. Click on Continue and set up a username and a password. This is the username and password you're going to be using to log into the Nessus interface going forward. Get the activation code from your email. You should have received an email by now after you completed the registration form. Put in the activation code and click on Continue. Nessus is going to take some time to finish downloading some extra stuff and some plugins. Might take a while, so be patient. Once that's complete, log in using the username and the password you set up previously. And with this, your Nessus installation and setup is now complete. Now let's use Nessus to scan our Metasploitable target machine. Before we do that, let's verify the IP address of our target machine. In this case, the IP address of my target is 192.168.140.128. Take note of this IP address. If you're not logged into the Nessus interface yet, make sure you do that by going to the https://localhost:8834. Type in your username and password and sign in to Nessus. Once you're logged in, you want to create a new scan. So click on the New Scan button. You're going to see a number of templates in front of you. We're not going to be discussing all of that. We'll do this in more advanced courses. For now, we'll just stick to the basic network scanning option. So click on Basic Network Scan and give the scan a name that will make sense to you. Mine, I just call it my first scan. And in the description box, you can insert more details if you want. I just typed the IP address plus full port scan. I'm going to explain why in a second. In the target box, I'm going to fill in the IP address of my Metasploitable machine. Once done, click on the Discovery section. In the scan type, if you click on the drop-down menu, you'll see 3 different options: Port Scan Common Ports, Port Scan All Ports, or Custom. Remember in the protocol section when we talked about the TCP, I asked you in your mission to find out how many TCP ports are out there. If you choose the Port Scan Common Ports option, your port scan is going to be limited to a number of common ports. However, if you choose the Port Scan All Ports, it will try and scan for every single TCP port, which is much more comprehensive. However, it takes a longer time. But because we're scanning only one target, we're going to be going with the more comprehensive option, and we're going to choose All Ports. And this changes the settings. It reflects in the settings below, telling us that now we're going to be scanning all ports from 1 to 65535. Now our scan is set up and complete. We click on the play button and the scan is running. At any point in time, you can click on the scan, see the progress, and check the results. The results will continue to populate as the scan runs. It's going to take a while, so we're going to leave it for now and come back later. You'll see that the number of vulnerabilities have jumped from 6 to 15. If we click on the vulnerabilities, we can go through them one by one. And now the number of vulnerabilities have increased even more. We can see there's a number of critical vulnerabilities, a number of high, and a number of medium vulnerabilities. As the scan goes, we can click on every one of these vulnerabilities and find out more information about it. So as you can see, Nessus have identified an excess of 100 vulnerabilities, 103 vulnerabilities to be exact. Each one of these is a potential weakness that we can exploit to gain access over our target machine. As an ethical hacker, your job is to go through this report and test for these vulnerabilities one by one. Just because a vulnerability is there in the report doesn't mean that we can exploit it. It could be a weakness, but that does not mean that we have the tools or the programs that allow us to take advantage of this weakness. So you can click on any vulnerability if you want to read the description and find out more information about it. How we take advantage of these vulnerabilities is what we're going to be learning in the next section. Your mission for this section is to replicate what I've done. Install and set up Nessus, log into it, and perform a scan against your metasploitable machine.